What's happening? What it do? What it be? TGIF, Falcon Friday, Evening Madness. It's your boy. As always, OG Big Sam, aka Mr. Wide, aka Dirty Red, aka 1979 Dirty Bird alumnus. What's happening, people? How's everything going with everybody? Gonna be on everything Falcons. Uh, talking, getting a little bit of Bucs Falcons week 1 preparation, week 1 expectations, week 1 outlook, team assessments, all of the above. Um, it's to open things up, man. Let's see a lot of y'all out here crashing out as usual because of what somebody else did in the movements of their organization. Unless you was sleeping up under a rock, you know that Michael Parsons is now a Green Bay Packer. Green Bay stepped up with the monies. As smart of a GM that I think that Terry Fontenot is, all things given in a particular situation, you're not going to throw a hundred plus million guaranteed, onto a one-trick pony. That's just my mindset. That's just my thought about it. Michael Parsons is a good athlete. He's a great pass rusher, but he's not that guy, multifaceted, especially in the run game. With run defense, you can run at him, and he would not really, flourish in that aspect. But let some of the quote unquote Terry Fontenot detractors, haters, misfits, if you will, seem to think that we should have went and did whatever to get him. Giving up, and okay, yeah, we gave up 2026 first round draft pick to move up to get JPJ. Yeah, we did. And for whatever reason, there's some people out there that has a issue with that move. And it's oddly funny to me because y'all cried and bitched and moaned. We need a pass rush. We need to be able to get to the quarterback. We need an edge rusher. Well, we went out and got two. And then we got a third one that seems to be turning the corner and developing into one. You know what I'm saying? And the fourth one seemed to have had a setback coming back from his knee injury. And I'm hoping that all things go well with that, with Trice. We seem to be vested and invested in him. And we're doing everything all possible to get him on the right track and get him on the field. But I mean, James Pierce, Walker, the Bulldog that y'all, seem to praise Terry Fontenot for doing in drafting a Georgia Bulldog. I don't understand. It's damn if you do and damn if you don't. Right? But you're not gonna please everybody. You know what I'm saying? Fantasy wants, fantasy needs are not of the Atlanta Falcons business. All right. All y'all that was out there that, wanted Mike Green or whoever else some of y'all thought might have been better pick than what we went and drafted. It is what it is. That's a you problem. But being out here all in your feelings, all disgusted and distracted because Michael Parsons is in Green Bay. That's a you problem. That's you not understanding the situation. All right. Green Bay pulled up with the money that he wanted. We didn't have the money that he wanted, number one. You know what I'm saying? And number two, who to say that he would have worked here? And again, the cons of a Michael Parsons. He's not good in run defense. He's not. I mean, so that's my opening thoughts on that right there. On the situation in hand in the goings on in the National Football League. Say hello to everyone. Todrick Davis in the pole position. What's good, my guy? Hey, Sonya. How you doing? Nice to see you as always, sweetie. Um, there are some that think that Todrick. I've been watching the shows. 122 million guaranteed. That means when the ink pen touches the paper, cha-ching. I mean, Dallas's situation, man. Jerry Jones. The Michael Parsons decision began when Jerry gave Dakota his check. And Michael Parsons knew he wasn't going to get the money that he wanted to be paid when Dakota got his check and then CeeDee Lamb got his. So that was just how that turned out. Sonya said Green Bay paid $100 million plus contract to a player that disappears during the season. In the rain game, and then he tends to miss some games. He get nicked up a little bit. I mean, so what do you really want? How do you really want it? And I just express that very same sentiment, Todrick. We drafted well, especially on that side of the ball, especially in that position. And then you got second and third year guys coming back, Evan Ketty, like I said, who seems to be, making that maturation, turning the corner, if you will, as the edge. I figure we good. You know what I mean? That just my sentiment on that. So you know what I mean? That's what we're here to talk all things Dirty Birds. Let's see another topic that I'm okay. I'm not worried about our right tackle situation. I'm not panicked. We got Elijah Wilkinson, who's been taking most of the snaps. What I'm saying, in practice at that spot. Then we went and got the young man from Seattle. And then also, what I'm saying, then we got our younger guys who we just, signed the undrafted free agents and drafted Jack Nelson. I mean, everything is in a developmental, phase. I mean, and then you got situations. Because remember now, Bergeron was drafted as a tackle. He was originally drafted to be Jake's, successor. That could be a move. Possibly it was just, something that's, thrown up against the board and, throwing him over there to the right tackle and what I'm saying, and sliding another body into that spot at left guard. You know, I mean, you got we have options. We have options when all are going to be in work. I'm not panicked. I'm not worried. The sky is not falling. Um, you know, I mean, you got the veteran Jake. You got Bergeron, Newsel. You know what I'm saying, at center. Lindstrom. You know what I'm saying, at the right guard. You know, those are four very viable pieces. You know what I'm saying, and you add a serviceable body at that right tackle spot. I just I don't I don't I don't see the need to be out here panicking and you know throwing tantrums and throwing in your fandom card and all this kind of stuff. You know, I mean, if some of you are in your feelings because you know there's some parts of your fantasy football, you know what I'm saying, pick might have been thrown off. You had the Falcons O-line pick for a particular reason or something to that effect, or you think it may affect your B. John Robinson move in getting numbers and whatnot. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. It's just just my call on that. I'm not worried. I'm not panicked. And then on top of that, we got a guy at quarterback who's already shown that there's poise and there is leadership at that spot and the ability to handle every moving situation. You know what I'm saying? Behind the line. So I'm not I'm not worried. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to that there. At all. You know what I'm saying? You get the team is pretty much in place. I mean, we had a lot of things that have happened over the last 72 hours. Not a surprise, especially the practice squad moves and all. Not a surprise at all. You know, I'm just I'm good, and I think we're up and ready to go for week 1. Myself. You know what I'm saying? What up, ATL Leo? No, I'm just getting started, man. Just getting started. That's all. Just talking about the panic pushers, the crybabies. You know what I'm saying? Crying about Parsons being in Green Bay instead of here. The panic pushers and the cries, the sky's falling because McCary is done for the year. I mean, in both cases, all things are covered. We're good personnel wise. I'm looking forward to just and feeling the perfect. We got 8 days, 8 days, yeah, 8 days, 9 days to kick off. I think we're good. King Richard, what's going on? What's going on, baby? Appreciate you for showing up. Appreciate your participation and my sentiments exactly. Roderick says, do you think we should trust Wilkerson as our starting right tackle, or do you not have a turnstile as Penix's blind side protector? I honestly think Wilkerson will do the job, but being better safe than sorry. I think that's why the trigger was pulled on the move to get Jarrell from Seattle. In either case, I'm okay. We got bodies. You know what I'm saying? We got bodies. We got bodies to fill that. That was, like I said earlier, that was even talk of Bergeron probably moving over there and then putting another body at the left guard spot. You know what I'm saying? Because remember, Bergeron was originally drafted as a tackle, and most notably as Jake's, succession plan. He has tackle experience. You know what I'm saying? People forget that because he took to the left guard position so well. A lot of people forget that. You know what I'm saying? Sonya says the Falcon fans that are panicking about the right tackle is hurt, and the same fans that wanted him gone off the team. That part, yeah, that part right there. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I just it was just another teaching moment at the show. You know what I'm saying? Some things that you just shouldn't hit seeing on. BP, what's happening, man? Nice, appreciate you being in here. You know what I'm saying? We talking all things Falcons from injury recipes to and getting ready for week one against these Bucs. I was kind of sort of hoping that Bucs raised boats was in here, you know what I'm saying, to facilitate this Bucs Bucs Falcons conversation. But we gonna forge on. Let's see. King Rich said there is no blind protection in the pistol, so you know what we running in the pistol and shotgun. There is no blind side because those schemes were designed to stand back and scan the field. That is true. That is true. That is true. I mean, but even if it even if we was, you know what I'm saying, in traditional you know what I'm saying, single back, three receiver set formations, I'm still not worried. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen enough from Penix. I've seen enough from MPJ, you know what I'm saying, with his poise and his ability to, you know what I'm saying, pre-snap read, his ability to get the ball out. He got a quick trigger. He has a Matt Ryan-esque Dan Marino release. You know, I'm not worried. I'm not bothered. I'm not scared. That's just where I'm looking at it from. You know what I'm saying? We're good. You know, King Rich said, "Oh no, we're not worried. He get the ball out of his hand fast." Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's another part of the reason why I have the mindset that I have. I'm not. I now just for devil's advocate. I am not. You know, downplaying into losing McGarry. That's huge. You know what I'm saying? Considering the job with the tandem of him and Lindstrom over there, because we primarily run to that side. You know, but it's like you reading my mind, BP. You reading my mind. That's exactly where I'm going. I trust Pepper. I trust the offensive staff. You know what I'm saying? Zach, TJ, Bedford. I trust those guys, you know what I'm saying, to not put the quarterback in submissible positions, not, put the younger person or the fill-in a position where they're out there on the island, you know what I'm saying, so to speak. I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to do what we do, especially offensively. I think we're going to run the ball like we normally do, you know what I'm saying, 46 to 56% of the time, you know what I'm saying? And then it's going to be some play action, we're going to get the playmakers, the playmaking, and we're going to tie the defense down. But look, understand something, people, and I'm just speaking to those detractors because I know, the football purists, the football fans, that actually watch the game within the game and within the game, you know what I'm saying, understand, especially in this matchup coming up against Tampa Bay in week one. Okay. Let's unpack that. All right. Y'all do realize that the Bucs are on the 3-game losing streak there. Okay. That's one. And number two, that defense is a little, you know what I'm saying? Tampa defense is a little long in the tooth up front. And then you got you got a big guy in the veil, but he kind of sort of be, you know, a little injury prone, you know. Um, and I've been, you know, been talking back and forth with a few Bucs fans, you know, talking about it, you know, saying the Deion Jones homecoming. I understand something. What has he done since he left us? You know what? And don't get me wrong, I love Deion when he was here. I love Deion Jones when he was here, but you know, since his departure, he hasn't really, you know what I'm saying, made a whole lot of noise. He really hasn't. It upstairs on my side of the bed. You know, he really hasn't. You know what I'm saying? Made a whole lot of noise. That Tampa D, they're okay. They what is like, you know what I'm saying? I was telling the guy, okay, that defense hasn't seen this version of the Falcons offense. It's not gonna be one leg and one armed Kirk Cousins standing back there. Kirk Cousins cousin. Benedict Arnold will not be under center. No, no. Michael Penix Jr. will be. Okay, with that laser cannon, precision, focus, poise. His he does not seem like a rookie standing back there. You know, pre-snap reading. You know, looking off the safeties, throwing it in a pocket. You know what I'm saying? Dropping it in the basket. Okay, the Tampa defense has not seen this version of Dirty Bird offense. You know what I'm saying? They haven't. You know, and then they're going through some things again. That front, that Tampa D front, they're a little long in the tooth. They're a little long in the tooth, and you know what I'm saying. And let's see. Tyler said, "What does Raheem have to do for you this year, OG, to get his name back, or will the nickname stick until he get to the playoffs or further?" Well, well, he's kind of been on the right path of that to going through the off season, managing injury situations, and what I've seen his activity in especially in the first two preseason games. He, you know, let the coordinators coordinate. You know, let Zach and Albrecht do their jobs. You know what I'm saying? Let them, you know, coordinate their units and get the job done. And you handle the refs when need be. You know, you handle that situation and make the right choices. You know, in situational coaching. You know what I'm saying? In situational moments when need be. Other than that, just stay his ass out the way. You know, and let the coordinators coordinate. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. I mean, I've given him some grace. You know, he's off to a good start for me to continue to call him Raheem Morris. But I mean, you know, when he mess around and have one of them dope moments, he will be Homer Simpson. Yeah, you know, you know what I'm saying. And look, y'all have to understand my thoughts on, and I'm quite sure most of you all know my sentiment on one Kirk Cancer Cousins, and you know his show to show campaign and taking shots at the organization, trying to throw the organization up under the bus, and in his, and also in his self admittance of, being selfish and, playing hurt and destroying our season. I just I have no fucks to give about one Kirk Cousins, aka Benedict Arnold. I don't. He can go play in traffic on Spaghetti Junction on Friday at 10 after 4. Yeah, that's, what I'm saying. And yeah, I've heard that too, King Richard, from a few Tampa fans. They're hoping and banking and trying to ignore what they've seen. They're trying to ignore the video documented evidence. They're trying to ignore, what I'm saying, what they saw in those last 3 games on last year. Like I said, which showed me everything that I needed to know about the young man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm I'm verifiably I am in a good space rolling into week 1 in this game against the Bucs. The matchup that I will be looking real hard for is our defense against Baker Mayfield. I'm ready to see that if this defense continues to do what they were doing in the preseason games, getting pressure and creating turnovers, you know, have me feeling like I'm kind of sort of go out on a limb there. I'm looking for 3 sacks and a turnover by defense. You know what I'm saying? And that turnover probably being a defensive touchdown. That's what I'm looking for. Because I know what my offense gonna do. I know what the offense gonna do. If our defense gets Baker off the field on 3rd down, and create chaos, you know what I'm saying, and muck the game up for him, you know what I'm saying, have him uncomfortable, get the padded feet back there in the offensive backfield, making him uncomfortable. We touch him, you know what I'm saying? I mean, 3 sacks, 5, 6, 7 quarterback hits, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of pressure, errant throws, get hands on the ball, you know what I'm saying? Make him have to run more than he's actually getting it off. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what I saw in the preseason from our defense. That's what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? That right there, the aggressiveness, clean, hard hits. You know what I'm saying? It's sending a message, setting the tone. All right, you may catch this thing, but we gonna separate you from this ball. You may try to run it, and we gonna separate you from this ball. You know what I'm saying? That's the aggressiveness, the mindset, the anger, aggression, hard hitting. Yeah, that's what I'm against Baker Mayfield. That's what I'm gonna be looking for. You know, but now on the flip side of that like I was saying, that Tampa defense against our offense, they had a hard time against the run game on last year. Okay, and I think that's going to continue. But I think also as well, I think we might see an emergence of another weapon. Because like I said, like I was talking about on Wednesday, I'm feeling like Casey Washington may have a coming out party in week 1 because there's no film on him. He's a big body with sneaky fast speed. In the game, man, it's about matchups. Because Todd Bowles them gonna be coming in, trying to key on Drake and Bijan, and Kyle. Casey Washington just may mess around with the mess around and blow up on him. Rich says, I think we're about to shock the league defenses with our offense. And I think that coming in with this and being up on a full being a full season with Penix, what I'm saying, behind the center, and coming off of seeing what we saw from him on last season, and seeing what the film clips were showing us in the joint practices, and and hearing about the workouts at undisclosed locations, there's a strong sentiment, a quiet calm, if you will, from this offensive unit. Yeah, you ain't boy, look at him. Hey, you can't be putting that information out there. Well, coming here with that foolishness. Tampa ain't faced this type of Atlanta defense either. This is true. We're going to see the emergence and what is I've been calling the whole time of this offseason is Jeff Albrecht's DNA on this defense and on this team from a mindset perspective. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. All eyes on the Dirty Birds. Todd Bowles coming in blitzing. We already know that burn him down. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's where the understanding of the poise of Penix, which we saw, which we saw on last season in those games. Giants, the Commanders, and the Panthers. Him at this age, in this stage, and being a rookie and having that kind of poise, and looking off of veteran safety to move him and putting the ball in the pocket, I can't wait to see, the intensity we came with defensively. We need to do the same thing. I'm expecting that. That's the one thing I do. In my mind on this season, because there's a different activity, there's a different mantra, there's a different mindset, there's different body language in this off season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. What's happening, Xavier? And it is rubbed off on the entire team. But I think that the defense is going to lead this team this season. We come out the door and we do what I believe that we're going to do defensively. When you and hold Tampa down, and put put Penix on the field in multiple good situations, it could turn into a long day for the Bucs. Because like I said, we saw last year that they were not in the realm of dealing with our run game very well. I just said, based on your stance, Kirk Cousins, are you okay with him being on the team, or have the ties been severed deeply that you are willing to take the hit to be free from him? I, again, if y'all have, if everybody has been watching over the off season, it is no secret what I feel about this dude. It is what it is. Again, I kind of sort of have the same sentiment with him as I do with Raheem. As long as he stay out the way, you know what I'm saying, and stay off in front of microphones talking crazy, and not try to make it about him, and let this team do what they're supposed to do and not be a distraction. I don't have anything to say. I honestly, my ties, yeah, they are severed at the tendons. Yeah, they are. But business is business. Because we're kind of sort of in the same position as Indiana is. You know what I'm saying, with Anthony Richardson. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want Kirk Cousins. Okay, regardless of what you might hear from these fraudulent reports of, okay, the phone has been ringing. Don't nobody want Kirk Cousins. Everybody saw what happened on last season. Everybody saw him go on the campaign, you know what I'm saying, to all these sports talk shows and take shots at the organization, and then admit to what we all knew he did during that 4-game stretch when he shouldn't have even been on the field. You know what I'm saying? Um, as a team player, you're hurt. You're hurt, but you're wanting to get your money, not wanting to lose your spot to a rookie. You know what I'm saying? That's some selfish ass bullshit. You're not about the team. Okay, that fraudulently selfish ass bullshit costed us 4 games, which initially cost us our season. Michael Penix should have been on the field 4 games sooner than he was. Okay, after the Saint game, which is where Kirk got hurt in week 10. Week 11 on, Penix should have been on the field. Okay, that's some selfish, you know what I'm saying? That's some selfish crap, and it cost us our season. You know what I'm saying? We were in a position, you know what I'm saying? We had the division on lock. We had a chance to move up to the 3rd spot in the conference. And, between him doing that and then, Raheem's blindness, if you will, I'm not saying that he did know or he didn't know. I mean, but I know your eyes saw the same thing that the rest of us was looking at. Okay, the man couldn't even throw the ball out to the flat. All right, he was throwing lame ducks to the flat. I'm just saying. Right? And then you walking up here, after each loss, talking about Kirk gives us the best chance to win. No, the fuck he don't. No, the fuck he didn't. He didn't. He said, we got our playmakers, A.K. A.J. Floyd, Caden, and Jesse. Young boys just need to do their jobs. Yeah, and I feel that they will. I feel that the youngins are going to come in and do exactly that. Kirk Cousins was never what they claimed he was. He had one playoff win in 12 years and failed to account for a TD during regulation play indexing wins. I mean, well, I wasn't necessarily sold on no hype. I was sold on him being a veteran guy that had been in situations, and if we, and we being built the way we were built, it was easy for him to come in as a veteran quarterback, and the way the season started, he was doing right. He was doing right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if he don't get hurt against the Saints and we don't go on that 4-game losing streak, I think I just playing devil advocate. We're having a different conversation, and that's just keeping it a buck. I mean, but week 10 happened. He did get hurt. You know what I'm saying? We knew it. We saw it from what I'm saying through all the games following the Saint game. I don't understand why Raheem Morris didn't see it either, or whatever the case may have been right now. Kirk Cousins has never shown he can deliver when there is an expectation to win. And well, I'm not gonna say that he would have failed. I mean, because like I said, to start the season, we were at the coming up to week 10, we were 6-3 with a chokehold on the division and a chance with that win to move up to the 3rd seed in the conference. Then the Saints game happened. Okay, whatever's happened. I'm gonna say this. All right, whatever had done happened, whether it was Minnesota or Washington with him before he came to us, that had no bearings on my thought. I was looking at, okay, he's a veteran quarterback, and he's coming into a pretty, pretty good situation. All right. I mean, he again, to start the season, he was doing what he was supposed to. And I mean, come on now. Let's look at this realistically and honestly. All right. You know, he was leading the lead in passing yards. And at the particular time, up to that point, he was second in touchdowns, and then the Saints game happened. And then the fallout of that happened to follow. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, okay, he was gonna fail, because leading up to coming up to week 10, it didn't look like he was failing. And that's just keeping it a buck. Mind what's good? What's good? D Coleman. That Denver game was horrible across the board, but if you really look at it, that should have been the time to bitch. Yeah, that was the game after the Saint game, right? D. Yeah. I don't after the Saints game, because when they got in the 4th quarter, you knew something was wrong. You knew something was wrong. There was no, in that second half, there was no zip on the ball. He got to be indecisive, so you knew something was wrong. And then Seattle, all right, okay, we all, because me and the guys, we was watching that game and looking like, the fuck is that? There's something wrong with him, and it was. He was hurt. He was hurt. You know what I'm saying? He should. It was just revisionist history. It happened. He got hurt. and was too selfish to, you know what I'm saying, to put the team first. Bottom line, you know what I'm saying? You know, there's a lot that, people have their opinions based on, you know, what he had done elsewhere. Again, first 9 weeks of the season, you cannot deny it. You cannot deny the output. He was doing his job. It is what it is, So, I mean, hey, it's he's there. I know it's just once 2025 is over with, he can roll off into the sunset, go home, play with the kids. Because I don't see another organization giving him an opportunity, especially after, you know what I'm saying, the revelations of what last year was, nobody, and then, the things he's done and said, on his media tour during the off season. Yep. Denver was after New Orleans. I understand you give him a mulligan after New Orleans, but you had a bye after Denver. Coaches did nothing about that. Again, that's where my Homer Simpson analogy comes into play. I, my honest bottom, from the back of my back of my mind, bottom of my heart, feel on the situation. I think Raheem knew. I think he knew. You know what I'm saying? And all in all, Jimmy Lake, as a result, became the scapegoat of that. And we're looking at a situation right now, and I've said it. You know what I'm saying? I've said it. I said it a few months back. Well, actually, about 9 weeks ago. I honestly, I think even if we do win, um, make marginal strides, NFC championship, you know what I'm saying, divisional round. Um, I feel like Morris is out of here. Because it's just, watching body language, watching movements, watching this team has taken on Albrecht's mindset. Okay, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention to that. There's a mentality epidemic in Atlanta, the organization, and it's being driven by Jeff Albrecht. It is, and when a guy, when you have a leader like that, that is the de facto leader, and everybody, in the locker room is gravitating to him, you have to capitalize on that and take advantage of that and move on that. I don't think Rod really has a voice, on, you know what I'm saying? And it has shown too. It has shown. Hannibal said Raheem didn't have the guts to bench Kurt. I feel that too. He failed to demonstrate that he's willing to do something that people might consider cruel. That's not the mark of a leader. I feel all that. I couldn't have said it better. I could have said it. I couldn't have said it better. And I said it. You know what I'm saying? A month and a half or so back. But you are absolutely, positively correct. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, Raheem, he's a rah-rah guy. He's a figurehead. Y'all have heard my stance on him and my outlook on him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you mention Raheem Morris's name, what comes to mind? What scheme? What what I'm saying? What vision comes to mind? What player comes to mind that he may have you know drafted and developed, and he went on to be a star. I mean, all the answers to those questions are absolutely zero. There is none. I think that Rich McKay Rich McKay and the board facilitated this because they did not want that guy from New England in him. I think that's why he got this job. So the board would still have some kind of control, what I'm saying, of things. I think that Rich McKay and those good old boys, those good that's collecting those fat checks on that board, talked Arthur out of it because Arthur and Bill sat up on that yacht on that lake 2 days eating caviar, shrimp, and talking life. I think it was a done deal, but I think when it all went down, Arthur got talked out of it, and they brought somebody in here that they could control. He called me and said he's a vibes guy. Hope that works out for us like it did for Detroit. Well, here's the difference. Here's the difference. Because Campbell, he's the heart and soul of that team. But he knows his shit defensively, and he lets the offensive guys, what I'm saying, do their work. But he's a leader of men. He's a motivator. He there's some. He's a 4-3 type of guy. All right, from where he came from. Um, that's the difference to me. He cut his teeth, in the D line and linebackers room, early on, defensive backs, and being a coordinator, you know, what I'm saying, for a couple of years, there's a difference in Campbell's path to being a head coach, a marginal difference, you know. Um, you vibes guy, Campbell. I wouldn't say that Campbell. It says what he means. It means what he says. I can't say the same about Raheem in that aspect. I mean, but players flock to Campbell. I feel the comparison that you're trying to make there. But from an X and Campbell's is more X and O's than he is vibes. That's the bigger difference right there in that particular aspect. Um, I mean, if y'all got any more, any more question, any questions, what I'm saying, feel free to, what I'm saying, throw them in there. I'll try to answer them. Just, all things Dirty Birds. Again, if you're disgruntled and you're mad, if Parsons in Green Bay, hey, you can catch a flight to Wisconsin, buy your cheesehead hat, and work that out. Um, Let me see. Yeah, the contract signing up there in Baltimore. Congrats to the young man. You get your coins. Get your coins. He's earned it. He deserved it. Um, he's put in the work for it. Um, but right here, you know what I'm saying. I'm ready. I'm so ready for these 9 games. What up? What up? What up, E? How's the fam? Yeah, tell Bridget I say what's happening. You know what I'm saying? How's that grandbaby? You but yeah, I'm just I'm really ready. You know what I'm saying, for the kickoff, the tip off. You know what I'm saying, and that defense to open up the game and crack some heads. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm just itching for a 3-and-out on the first series, a hard hitting 3-and-out. Just a nasty, slobbering, you know, just what I'm saying. It's just to set the tone. Yeah, yeah. But you know, shoot, um, I'm ready for a full season campaign by Penix. Um, Looking at another year. I know that Tyler probably is going to have a bigger year, knowing with the contract year coming up. I mean, with this being a contract year, he may be auditioning, you know what I'm saying, to be elsewhere, you know, just may be. But then again, hey, he might give us a hometown discount if he really, 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 really wants to be here like that. You know what I'm saying? And if he's that bought in and sold on the mission and what we doing here, what we building, you know, the will and the mission to win may just be a tad bit more important than having a Brinks truck pulled up to you. You know what I'm saying? Hannibal said, I'm worried about the right tackle and stopping the run. Sonya said, Raheem can go sit on a cactus and I still don't believe in him. Yeah, but Hannibal, I'm like I said to start, I'm not worried about that. I've seen, you know what I'm saying, Elijah Wilkinson, and know he's a good stopgap guy. He could give you, you know what I'm saying, 4, 5, 6 games, you know what I mean? And then with the rest of the line being what it is, I just, and the familiarity there, I don't think it would be hard, you know what I'm saying, for the chemistry to, keep rolling. I mean, but if not, then like I said, we got the veteran guy from Seattle, Jewel. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm not. I don't think there's any particular high brass reason to be worried about. You know what I'm saying? Right tackle. I think it's gonna be fine. I think it's gonna be business as usual. I think we'll still be able to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? Matter of factly. You know what I'm saying? On that. You know that. I'm just, hey. You know what I'm saying? And then too, like I said, we got bodies. You know what I'm saying? Williams, the 2 undrafted free agents, and Nelson, um, you know, who's still on the learning curve, but yet, you know what I'm saying, I think the young man's gonna be all right. You know, I'm not pushing the panic button. I'm not, all frazzled up. I mean, Terry did exactly what he was supposed to, like he always does. You know what I'm saying? And got another once the injury reserve announcement was made on McGarry. The trigger was pulled on the move. you know. So we in now, you know. Plus, we may get relief after 4 games. Who knows? I mean, because they really ain't told the whole story on McGarrett, but his injury reserve. Now, Storm is gonna miss probably half the season, so he'll probably be back about week 8. Um, on that right now. I think they can get by with putting a tight end there to help for games into the well. On that back end in the tight end room, I think that was another large reason why we got Felipe on the 53. He's an excellent blocker. Warner is an excellent blocker. You know what I'm saying. So and Simon's a pretty good blocker as well. So I think we'll be okay in that fact. They was looking at 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm looking at mid season. I'm looking at mid season. So I mean, so they're gonna do their due diligence with him, you know, uh, uh, as they should. Like I said, we got bodies, so it really ain't no reason to be pushing the envelope if we are hurrying that young man back. D. Coleman says, in a perfect world, Storm won't have to start immediately when he returns because somebody will be playing well. And I think and believe that. Like I said, I got faith in Elijah Wilkinson. You know what I'm saying? Being a fill-in guy, because that's what he's been mostly since he's been here. He is held, when pushed into what I'm saying, work. He's done the job. You know what I'm saying? That is asked of him. So I'm okay with it. I'm good. I'm good with it. You know what I'm saying? Elijah Wilkinson will hold the spot down for the first half of the season. And I mean, you would say if he's holding it down, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's true. He can hold it through week 10, and if need be, Storm come out there, you know what I'm saying, and give us a couple of games, you know, and we'll go by it situationally. Well, we've been in this thing an hour, good conversation. Um, You're gonna have the rest of the Lions on later on tonight, you know what I'm saying, ATL End Game hosted by, you know what I'm saying, Wandrell, aka the Tactician. You would definitely see me later on tonight on that. We have some chicanery shenanigans in store. Stay tuned, for that. Um, and as far as myself, I will be as far as my show, I will be back Monday. Um, Probably gonna have some NBA content. Um, just take some things out. Uh, Coming over the weekend, probably recapping, what I'm saying, other sports, some college football as well. You know what I'm saying? So hey, stay tuned for that. You're gonna have coach on Saturday, you know what I'm saying, the regulators on Sunday. We got y'all day by day basis, y'all. Hey, y'all 18 hours watching this program. Hit that like button for me. You know what I'm saying? If you like the show, you like the content, you like the dialogue, subscribe to Miss White Network. I'm 7 away from 300. That's my goal. I'm trying to have that before next Sunday. I can have 300 before week 1. Boom. You know what I'm saying? I greatly appreciate y'all for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Like I say always, it doesn't work without you. You know what I'm saying? So y'all tuning in to me on all my shows across the board, helping this thing grow. 500 is the main goal. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, whatever's after that, you know what I'm saying, the sky's the limit to make, make this platform grow. Got big plans. trying to do big things. You know what I'm saying? You know, making it do how we do when we do it. Hey, look, just hey, just saying. Hey, boy, look at here. Look at here, look at here. You know what I'm saying? It is about that time, you know, and I'm gonna go ahead and close this thing out. You know, like I said, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Look, you gotta keep it gotta keep it dirty. Most nobody gotta keep it real with yourself. Let your next choice be your best choice. Y'all be safe out there. Tune in to the guys tonight. See you home. And I'm out.